Hi everyone, welcome to Monday's lecture for this week. What I want to talk about will only take 5 or 10 minutes, which is the usual time for such lectures, or mini lectures anyway. First, I just want to make some points about advertisements, then some points about public relations, and a very brief point about grants, because these are aspects of sports sponsorship and media, but they're not, in a sense, the most critical aspects, because it's the sponsorship proposal, the sponsorship process, knowing who sponsors are, working out how to obtain sponsorship, the means of seeking sponsorship, the way that sponsors are going to get their deal out of the agreement, the way that you're going to get your deal out of the agreement. These are other central things, and advertising, grants, public relations are all part of that and often facilitate that, or right on the back of sports sponsorship. First, some points about advertising. Advertising is quite different from PR in the sense that you're paying for advertising, you're targeting a market for which you are paying some means, or the people who have the means, to sell your product, to make a service available, to inform people about an event which is coming up, or some dynamic or dimension of sport that you feel it's worth paying to place out in the media. Public relations is quite different. You don't pay for it. You skillfully work with media people, your PR person will place a story, work with someone. Probably the first PR people were sports agents working on behalf of sports people, and some still tend to do that. Your sponsors will use advertising, and your sponsors will probably also use PR, so there are some similarities. PR is often generated by new moves in an organisation, in a sport organisation. And so you want to capitalise on that, so you want to place a story with the media, or you want some press release, and that costs nothing. On the other hand, you might want to advertise, because the new product, new service, new event might be something that is worth investing money in advertising for and will have a payback for you. And certainly sponsors are looking at this, because often paying for advertising will highlight some aspect which is good for their product, their name, and good for your product and the name of whatever event, service, person you're promoting. Advertising and PR both shape influences, attitudes. They shape the way people regard your product, your person, your sports body, your organisation. Advertising does that, and public relations also does that in a range of ways. Wearing merchandising is another form of advertising. And I imagine in just about any class at this university, if we asked people to stand up who had some sports advertising on their clothing or their footwear, we would find quite a percentage of people doing that as walking billboards in effect. If we think of sport being used to generate a market, then advertising does this, and hopefully, skillfully, public relations costing nothing also does that. So I think from this week, you need to think about advertising in relation to sponsorship, advertising in itself as a form of marketing sport, public relations in terms of sponsorship, public relations in terms of reaching a market, no cost, that informs that market about your sport product. Now sometimes these are combined in integrated marketing, which links advertising, PR, and also promoting to market a particular event or product. So we've only just scratched the surface, but there are a couple of videos on sponsorship which, if you look at them critically, which are referred to from this Moodle site, then you will see some further prospects of advertising, and also ask yourself in what ways are these videos themselves PR exercises. The last thing I want to mention briefly is that some sports organisations use grants to facilitate an event, a product, selling a product, publicising a product, and grants bring in funding usually as a once-er, and often from non-commercial sources, government sources, trusts, and that's something when we talk about community sport and sponsorship I'll spend a little bit more time on, because one of the real challenges that we all face if we're involved with community sport is obtaining grants, obtaining money, fundraising, and gaining some greater economic assistance for sport in the communities. So I look forward to seeing you tomorrow Tuesday and at the tutorials this week. We'll have to have a look at the numbers of the tutorials to make sure they balance out in terms of presentation. That's not your problem, we'll sort that out. So I look forward to your comments on the 2 videos that will be available on this site.